everyone. Welcome to the Bearded Respect, number 105. Whew. And Mr. Brew City Bearded Scott, and we've got Jason over here, and Mike, and we will be right back after this intro video.
What you got there, Jason? Is that your brother?
Yeah. You can't see it because of the beard, but he's got a flannel on.
Nice.
So,
well, welcome everyone.
okay.
Welcome. Pretty exciting show tonight.
Oh yeah.
And Jason, you want to welcome these fine people into our show?
Yep, we got JP first tonight.
What's up, JP?
Hello there.
TV.
What's up,
Yeah,
TV?
it's going to be a great night. Going to be a great night.
No way.
Ollie.
Ellie, what's up?
We got Tim
Hey, brother.
from Texas.
What's up, Tim?
And we got a new one tonight, Amber M from Ontario.
Hi, Amber. Thanks for stopping in.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love Joe and Garrett too. Hey, Jacob.
What's up, Jacob?
Hello.
Mimi.
Hello.
And Becky.
Becky, what's up?
Bruce.
Hi, honey.
Hello, Becky.
Dynamite.
Hello.
What's up, Ty?
Hey.
Rich.
Rich, what's up?
Hey, Big Stu.
Excellent.
Big Stu.
Big Stu's ready for February.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting him in person.
Mr. Patton.
Mr. Patton, what's up?
Hello.
Beard Zone.
Beard Zone.
Good
Hello.
zone.
Hey, Donald. Yes, happy Thursday.
Donald.
What's up,
I don't
Donald?
have friends. I got family.
Bayou Beard Life.
What's
Hello,
up?
neighbor.
Hey, Justin.
Justin, what's up?
No way.
Top Hat.
Top
Good to
Hat.
see you.
Hello there,
Top Hat, you got some company in here. Someone from Ontario's in our chat.
Ken?
What's
The
up,
official
Ken?
Ken.
Say hello to my little friend.
Cajun?
What's up, that Cajun?
Hello.
Hello there, children.
We got a Facebook user.
What's up, Facebook?
How you doing, Facebook?
And caught up.
Nice.
Zach Hallgren.
Oh, Zach. Nice. What's up, Zach?
What's
How's it
that?
going?
Zach is my best friend from
Hello, neighbor.
Virginia.
Oh, from on Facebook.
Yep. Awesome.
Oh, Tara made it.
Yep.
Hey,
Tara
Tara.
made it.
Excellent.
So exciting show. We are honored to have two contestants that were on Amazing Race this past season. Joel, we had on here last year, and we talked to him about all those awards that he's won over the years for Guinness World Records. And now we get to talk to him and his best friend about the Amazing Race. Such an honor to have him on our show.
Yeah.
Do you have anything special, Scott?
No, I don't.
All right.
We doing the
Yeah.
okay. Well, with that, we can bring them on the show.
Hey, Linwood, what's up? Nice. Hey, guys.
How's
Hey,
it going?
guys?
Guys,
Good to
Going
have you.
great.
Hey, thanks for
you.
having us on today.
Oh, we're glad you could come on. I don't know if you're still busy with everything. It's been a while since the end of the season.
Yeah, it's back to normal life, back to the boring old normal life.
Really? I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all.
Yeah, it's good to see you guys. Good to see all
Yeah.
these beautiful beards today.
oh yeah, definitely.
And the pesky Mr. Mustachio, can you hear and see everything all right? We can't hear you.
We can't hear you, Smythe.
Uh-oh.
Oh boy. While he's trying to figure out how to unmute it, I'll clear up a little bit of confusion. So his name is Garrett Smith. That's his given name. But we were in the Army together, same platoon, and there were 3 people in our platoon with the last name of Smith. So we couldn't. Everybody goes by their last name mostly. So he became Smythe, and everyone in our platoon called him that. And so he just I still call him Smythe. I've called him Smythe forever. My kids call him Smythe. Everyone in our platoon from there calls him Smythe. So that's what I call him, but that's not really his name. His name is Garrett Smith, and he just calls me Strasser. So I guess he's having some technical issues.
And hearing you say it so often, I just kind of, in my mind, just refer him to Smythe now.
Yeah. Yep, that's all I call him. Every time I say Garrett, it just sounds weird to me.
Yeah, right. So hopefully he can get this.
Let me see. He might have just texted me.
Okay.
Hey, Twitch.
Twitch, what's up?
Hey, Twitch.
You know what's weird is the Facebook messages don't pop up on my screen here. snicker.
Yeah, I don't know. He'll just have to check his settings, make sure he's not muted. And
Yeah, so he was going to join me at my house. So like me, Smythe has a bunch of kids. But unlike me, he doesn't have a dedicated office that's quiet.
Yeah.
And so sometimes when we do stuff like this, we try to get together. But I took him away from his family all day today. So I said, go home. And he was trying to find a quiet spot where he could do his podcast, or where he could join us without having his kids jumping around and being loud. So I might have asked too much of him.
Well,
can you hear me now?
yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, my Smythe.
All right.
Can't see you, but we can hear you.
Yeah, we don't see you.
Well, I had to bring my 14-year-old son in here to figure this out for me.
I think you just have the video clicked off.
How about that? We
Yeah.
There you go.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh man,
All right.
sorry, my lighting isn't very good though.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
We can see you.
Okay.
Well, just to kind of break the ice on the whole subject, we're going to start with the thing called 5 questions, and it'll probably take the whole episode to answer all 5.
Boy.
Sounds good.
So just so you guys know, like, we followed you throughout the whole season. We had a little segment on our show every week, just kind of like, you know, just talk about you guys. And thank you for providing that video every single week to let us know that you were still in it. Amazing how you're wearing the same clothes and eating the same food.
Yeah.
When you're doing it.
I remember when you asked us for that, and I was like, this is going to get old, because what we couldn't tell you was we were going to make it all the way to the end.
I don't think it got old. It didn't get old for me. I loved it. So, and I think our chat room loved it too, and they were following along too.
Awesome.
So many fans of The Amazing Race. Like, I honestly never watched The Amazing Race. I knew about it, but I never watched it until you guys were in it. So I think I'll probably watch next season too, you know, just to kind of see it. But tell us, like, what was it like when you received that call that you made the show? Like, what were you guys, like, were you guys together when you received the call, or did they call you separately, or what was it like?
Yeah, well,
Go ahead. Smythe.
when we first found out that they even wanted to talk to us, we were separate. We were each at work, and we got a text message from the casting producer, and I immediately called Strasser. I was like, "Did you see that text?" But he didn't answer his phone because he was busy working. And I'm like, "Are you really going to work through this?" It took a little bit, and then finally, I wasn't going to stop calling until he answered. And so finally, he answered the phone. He's like, "What are you doing? I'm in the middle of a class." I'm like, "Look at your text messages." That was a pretty exciting moment in itself.
Oh yeah.
That was just hearing back after our audition. Like, we didn't think we would hear back, because there's so many people apply for this show.
Mm-hmm.
But after Survivor, it's probably the most popular reality TV show that there is, and hardest to get into. And I've applied to Survivor twice. I never heard back, and I didn't expect to hear back on this either. But they liked our audition, our video, and they just hearing back from them was awesome. It was the best. And then it was months. The process of casting was, I mean, I don't know how many people they started with, but they started with probably hundreds of teams that they had contacted back, and they whittled it down to the final 13 that made it on the show. Let's see, how long did it take us from when we first heard back to when we knew we were on the show? It was like 3 months.
Yeah, it was like middle of February to, about 3 months.
And when we found out we actually made the show, we were together because the casting producer said he wanted to talk to us. We had already gone through several steps, interviews, both online and in person. They'd already flown us down to LA to meet all the producers and the host in person and everything. And now we're waiting for that final decision. And our producer, our casting producer, said, I want to talk to you guys. I have some updates, but I don't have an answer yet on the show. And he basically tricked us. He did know that we were on. In fact, he'd known for a while. But he was talking to us, and he was just telling us, like, hey, just really important that you don't get injured. Don't do anything that could, like, risky that you could get an injury, because in case you do get cast on the show, an injury would take you out. And then he talked to us a little bit more, and then he just like dropped it on us. He's like, oh, and it's really important for you because you guys are on the next season of The Amazing Race. And we're just like, wait, what?
We
What
couldn't
did you say? we were in shock. We thought that the best that we could do is that just they would name us alternates, and that maybe we'd be a backup if somebody else didn't make it on. That's what we were hoping for at that point. And so to make it on the show was crazy. It was awesome. And then we had once we found out we were on the show, there was a little over a month of anticipation where we just had to just wait before we could go start filming it. And we did a lot of practice, a lot of stuff to get ready. I mean, a lot of preparation.
Yeah.
Now,
go ahead, Jason.
That's what I was going to ask. With your preparation and stuff, did you do anything before you definitely got picked, or was it that last month you were cramming in there getting?
Yeah, as soon as the casting producer reached out to us the very first time, we started in our minds. We were like, "Oh, we made it! We got this." And so we started practicing stuff and preparing right from that moment. As each step passed, and they said, "Okay, you made it to the next step." We would get a little nervous, like, "Oh, okay, well, we made it over that step, but how many other people made it over that step?" So we still didn't have 100% confidence, but we were feeling good, and so we were practicing. We were, doing different things to prepare ourselves. Strasser was going on, 10-mile runs with a 50-pound backpack, and I was sitting on my couch eating Doritos, all that kind of stuff.
You're training in your own way.
Yeah, everyone in their own way. No, we did a ton of stuff to prepare. We made a couple of YouTube videos if anybody wants to see them about the stuff we did to prepare. And we didn't film everything. We only filmed a couple, like maybe half of the stuff we did, just to give you a taste of what we did. But we are so glad that we prepared. That made a huge difference. So for anybody out there who's ever going to do something like this, just trying to stumble your way in and hope you do well won't serve you well as much as prepping will. I mean, one example, we went out to a town that's a little bit out of the way here that we're not as familiar with, and we had our wives text us locations, and we could only use our phone for the text for the location. We couldn't use it for anything else. No Google, no maps, no nothing. But they would say, like, send us a picture of you in front of this locomotive in this park in this city. And then we had to find it. And Smythe is a UPS driver. And so we both thought he would drive and I would navigate. And we started doing that, but then we determined he's a better navigator than I am. So we swapped, and I drove and he navigated, and we did a lot better. And we found our way to the locomotive and the other things that we were supposed to find that day. We did this a few times, actually. But other teams, they showed up without a plan.
Yeah.
And they would start, and then at some point they'd get frustrated and they'd switch driver and navigator and stuff. But we had done so much. We built a lot of things together, which very much came in handy because there were at least 2 tasks I can think of offhand where we had to build something, and we already knew how to work together. We already were we knew all the ins and outs, and it was great. So the prep was huge for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was my next question was, because I watched the videos that you made, or a couple of videos of how you prepped and stuff like that. And what was the one thing that stuck out that really did help you? And I guess that was the find this, find that, like you said, you went to the Chamber of Commerce here asking people where things are. And
yeah, getting a map, getting help.
Yeah.
Did
the rock throwing help you at all?
Well, the water was super cold.
Yeah.
We did that.
Even the cold water training, it was kind of for Ireland, that kind of helped out, even though the water was still so cold that I don't know that it really helped, but
Yeah, that ocean in Ireland that we were swimming in was
Oh yeah,
so cold.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What surprised you as you were watching the season? Like when you guys, so the season's over and you're watching it with your friends and family, which is really cool how you guys did it. I wish I'd lived close to you so I can go to the watch parties with you guys. But what was there anything that surprised you that maybe you didn't know?
You know, there was a lot of things that surprised us as far as what happened to the other teams, because you don't always know what's going on with the other teams. For example, when we were in Germany and we thought for sure we were last place, we still had some hope that maybe the Philly Johns were behind us. But once we were on that lock bridge, looking for that lock for 2-3 hours, whatever it was, and the Philly Johns hadn't shown up, we were like, we got to be in last place. And so when we found out we weren't last place, we had no idea how lost the Philly Johns had gotten and how messed up they were on the different boats and everything. And so that was actually a pretty big surprise for us. And I mean, obviously the other thing is we don't know how they're going to edit everything. If you watch the first 2 episodes, you might wonder if we were even in the TV show at all.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you always, I mean, watching it, you're like, oh man, I'm surprised they didn't put this thing in or that thing in. But obviously, they got to cut it down from however many hours, hundreds of hours of footage down to 90 minutes. And so it's got to happen.
Yeah, there were a handful of things that we really hoped would make the show that didn't. Like we'd have an episode coming up, we're like, oh, I can't wait for when they show this thing, and then it didn't make the show.
Right.
But there were also a lot of instances of me seeing myself on the show saying something that I had no memory of saying, like at all. Like it was the first time I'd heard that thing, and I'm like, what? Oh, that's kind of funny, or oh, that's weird, or whatever. Like there was a part where I said, if we get there and we see other teams at the airport, I'm going to poop my pants with joy. I don't remember saying that. I think I was just really tired and just really just jet lagged. Like you're always like so off balance during the show. But when I saw that on the screen, I started laughing. I'm like, what did I say?
Yeah. Yeah. So like everyone in America during that German thing, when you guys are just kind of like lollygagging, like you're just kind of like blah blah blah, like you thought you lost.
Yeah.
And everyone in America is just yelling at their TV, go.
That's what everyone was telling me. They're like, when I watched that episode, I was just screaming at you guys, stop eating the food and run. In the moment, we think we're going home, so we're just trying to take in our last few moments. We're still trying to be happy and positive and just enjoy the time, thinking, we're about to go home. Let's enjoy our last few minutes on the show.
Yeah, they gave us that sausage, which I was excited about because I wanted a German sausage.
It was delicious.
It was so good. And we could see the finish line, or we could see the mat. We could see Phil. We knew where he was. He wasn't far from there. And so now we've got our last clue, and it says, go check in with Phil on the mat. And we're like, well, we could hurry over there and get eliminated right now, or we can stand here and eat this sausage and enjoy our last few minutes on the race. And so, but it was funny because it came across like we were just like, meh. Little did we know, the Philly Johns team was hours out still. Like they weren't even close. So it was just crazy.
Yeah. And for everyone in the chat that are asking questions, please keep asking questions. We're starring them. We'll get to those towards the end. But thank you for asking.
Yes.
And next question: who have you kept in contact with? Is there anyone from the race that you're still kind of like texting or sending, emailing or calling?
We're actually in a group chat with all the other teams.
Okay.
And so we're constantly talking back and forth about, what's going on in everyone's lives. But I will say one team that I've been in contact with probably a lot more is Steve from the Steve and Annalee team.
Okay.
I don't know how much you guys know about this whole service dog thing that came up, but on the show we talked about getting a service dog for my daughter if we won the money, and so when we talked about that, Steve's wife, Annalee's mom, Kathy, she reached out to me and she was like, "Hey, I want to help you guys." And her job before she retired, she worked a lot with different service dog companies, and so she has kind of a relationship there. And so I've been talking to them quite a bit as they've helped me in this search for a service dog. And so that's one team that, and we got to be really good friends with them. I know a lot of people kind of were harping on Anna Lee for the "come on, dad" thing, but I mean, she's not what you saw on TV. She is the sweetest girl. Her and her dad have a great relationship, and so we really bonded closely with them. We were all together a lot of the time, and so we got to know them really well and got to be good friends with those guys.
Yeah, Steve and Anna Lee were the team that in proximity we were always closest to.
Mhm.
We were always right behind them or right in front of them. So we got to know them so well. They're such great people. And one thing that didn't come through in the show is Steve's sense of humor. He was the funniest guy, and he had everybody laughing all the time, and none of his jokes, that's why, I don't know, but his jokes were hilarious. So we loved him. But all of the teams, like, there was not a bad team on this show, not a single one.
Mm-mm.
And I don't know if it's like this anytime you're a contestant on the show, but we love every team. We don't have any beef with any of them.
Oh, yeah. Right.
And it's the same with everybody. Like, all of the teams love each other and have nothing but, like, we all feel like a family after this thing. So it's great. And that's something we didn't expect going in. We weren't looking to get a bunch of friends out of this, but we sure did. We got great friends out of it.
Yeah. So next question. Did you bring any beard products with you on the race?
Indeed we did. And mustache products, right, Smythe?
Oh yeah, I had more mustache products than I needed.
You want to shout out any brands?
Smythe, tell them what you told me this morning about that Copper John's mustache wax.
Yes, so Copper John's is kind of the one that I've been using the most. Here's the thing with my mustache. Let me take one step back. Okay, the mustache started out as a year-long joke.
Yeah.
Strasser put me up to it. He said, hey, you should keep that for a full year. I decided to do it, so here we are, over a year later, never trimmed it, anything. But I'm not experienced with grooming a mustache. I've been trying to figure it out. If anybody has any tips, feel free to share them. But I start putting wax in it. Everyone tells me you got to put a bunch of wax in it and curl up the ends. But that's not what I'm going for. I'm going for, if you know Dr. Eggman from Sonic, the bad guy from Sonic, he's got this big fat mustache. That's what I'm going for. So that's why I just keep going out with it. But I've been using this mustache wax, and I ran out of a certain smell just the other day. And so I went back to my the waxes that I had on the race. When I put it in, I caught a whiff of the smell, and all of a sudden I was back in the hotel in India.
Oh,
I had this anxiety in my stomach, like I was about to start a leg of the race. It's crazy what smells can do. But I mean, the whole day at work, I kept catching this smell and feeling like I was back on the race again. It was crazy.
That's so nuts how that works. But yeah, you and I knew exactly what he was talking about too. Like, when I just think that's fascinating how a certain scent registers on a memory and an emotion and everything.
Yeah.
And that would have been back in June, and you hadn't smelled it since June.
Yeah.
And then you open it up and you start sticking your mustache again, and you're just back. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the race is what, 2 weeks?
It was about a month.
A month. Okay.
Yeah, it was. We were gone for just over a month, but filming was just under a month.
Okay. Was there a lot of downtime? Like, what did you do during downtime? Sleep?
So between the legs of the race, they take you to a hotel. You might have 12 hours between the pit stop and the next leg starting. Sometimes up to 24 or 36 hours. It varies. And they never tell you how long you have. They always keep you off balance. It is not a priority for the producers of the show to keep the contestants informed on anything at all. In fact, they want you uninformed on what's happening. So we'd get to a hotel and we wouldn't know. Are we going to leave tonight? Are we going to leave tomorrow morning on the next leg? What's happening? Every hotel room, they had removed the phone and the alarm clocks before we got there because it was on us to get to the start line on time. So there was a TV, and we would just watch local TV. We watched a lot of cricket, because that's what was on TV almost everywhere in the world. We tried to learn the rules of cricket. There was what was the other thing that there was a lot of that we watched?
Animal Planet. We stuck to Animal Planet, watching all kinds of things.
Every country has the Discovery Channel.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Whatever we could find in English is what we went for.
Yeah.
Have you recovered from the massage yet?
That stupid Thai massage.
It wasn't that bad for me. It hurt, but Strasser really hurt his knee during that massage. And so I felt bad for him, but in a way it was good because it slowed him down enough to where it was easy for me to keep up with him, I guess.
It was more contortion than massage.
Yeah.
And at one point I'm laying on my stomach and she's got my heels bent back, coming around to like my ears. And I felt something tear in my knee. And then it hurt the rest of the time. And I did a lot of physical therapy, and it's finally back to normal. Like, it doesn't hurt anymore as of maybe a month ago. But yeah, for 6 months or whatever it was, I had some serious knee pain. Luckily, one of the other contestants on the show, Ian, had a knee brace, and he gave it to me.
Oh, wow.
And then he got eliminated right after he gave it to me, so it became my knee brace.
Okay. All right. And the last question I have is, do you have anything against kayaks now?
Oh, let me tell you all about it.
Why'd you have to say that word?
So after I got home from the race, my son needed to get new running shoes. And so it was like the day after we got home, or maybe the 2 days after, I took him to a sporting goods store to look for running shoes. As we're walking down the aisles, I came across a wall of kayaks. And they looked very similar to how the kayaks were set up for us. And when I saw that wall of kayaks, without even thinking about it, I just had this rage inside of me where I wanted to grab them and tear them off the wall and tear them in half and throw them. It was the weirdest thing because at first I didn't even know why. I just felt this weird rage. And then I immediately was like, oh, yeah, that's why. And, you know, to this day, I don't know. I'm pro canoe, anti kayak.
Yeah, that was, you know, the kayak challenge. We knew there was going to be a memory challenge at the end, and we had been planning for this the whole time. So anybody who's watching this is the notebook.
The notebook.
I kept all of our notes in, and we studied the crap out of this notebook. And in one leg in Slovenia, we left it behind, had to go back and get it. And I'm glad we did go back and get it because it served us well. But you know there's going to be a memory challenge because there's one every season in the last episode, but they're always different. They take on a different aspect. So you don't know what to study for. So you take notes. I've got a lot of notes from every single leg of the race. We studied it so much. We quizzed each other. Like every plane ride, we're going through this thing and we're just like talking through all the different stuff that happened. And we were pretty well prepared going into that memory challenge. Between all of those Canoes, there was about 100 variables that you had to get just right. There were Canoes, and then there were handles that were like a puzzle. You had to fit different pieces of handles together, put them in the right place. And we went into that challenge with a about 20-minute lead on the second place team, Greg and John. And we were almost done setting everything up. We only had a few Canoes and handles left, or paddles, to put up when they arrived. And we thought we had it. And we were just like, we're going to win this thing. And we asked for a check and something was wrong. They don't tell you what's wrong. They just tell you something's wrong. And those two stupid tasks, who wants to be above it all and who wants a bird's eye view. Is that what they were called?
Yep.
And so similar names. The hardest part for me watching that is Smythe had it right. Smythe knew that bird's eye view was the glider plane challenge, and on top of it all was the tightrope challenge. And he said that, and I was like, "Oh no, it's the tightrope challenge and the glider challenge." And he's like, "Oh yeah, you're right." So we do that, and then later on, he's like, "Is it these two that are wrong?" I'm like, "No." And so I had 2 opportunities to let it be right. And I was like, oh, no, it's this way. And so, yeah, it's tough for me to watch because not everybody knows. It's such a unique situation to be like, you could have had $1 million and you know the exact reason you don't have the $1 million. And it's like it's a really strange situation. And so that was tough for me, knowing that I had made a mistake that cost us that part at the end. And for a couple of months after it filmed, but before it aired, that was replaying in my head constantly, like the stupid kayak mix-up that I orchestrated. And so,
can I just say though, Strasser keeps putting the blame on himself, and I just want to put it out there that I also put the blame on him. That's it. No, because I didn't have the confidence in what I was saying. Obviously, if I was confident that the bird's eye view was the plane, I would have said, no, you're wrong, let's flip them. I wasn't sure. That was the only thing that I could see that might be able to change. And so that's why I said it. But I didn't have the confidence in it. And so it's on me just as much as it is him, because I didn't remember either. So he tries to blame himself, but I'm just as much at fault as he is. So.
And that's why, you know, Smythe's a good friend, because that's what a good friend would say. But here's the thing, and if it's like it's sincere and it's serious in a way, but I struggled with that. I struggled with that, and I would go into these like mental like replays where I'm just like looping and pretending that I had fixed it sooner, because in the end we ended up losing the thing by about 1.5 minutes. And so there is something though. This story has a really good ending. There's something that kind of pulled me out of that and made it all okay. And that was that in the second to last episode, while we were in Ireland, they had asked us on the show, what will you do if you win this thing? And Smythe talked about his daughter who has some special needs and could benefit from a service dog. And on social media, people started saying, hey, if these guys don't win, somebody's got to make sure they still get that dog. And so I was thinking, we didn't win, and I can't say anything yet, but I know we didn't win.
Right.
And I created a fundraiser, and after the final episode aired, I published it, and it blew up. And everybody started sharing it and donating to it. And within 4 days, we had more than enough money for Smythe's daughter to get her service dog. And that's what kind of pulled me out of my funk that I was in. Seeing that all of this love and kindness just came pouring out from everybody and people sharing it and stuff. It was just really cool. That really made a big difference for me.
Yeah, and well, seeing that, I thought maybe you guys weren't supposed to win, so you could experience that.
You know what's interesting about that, Scott? I don't know if there's anybody who's a religious person out there in the audience or anything, and you don't even have to be for this to make sense, I don't think. But Smythe and I prayed a lot. We're both religious people, and we prayed a lot about the outcome of the race. We prayed that we could do our best, that we could do better than our best. We wanted to be able to keep a good attitude. Like we prayed for a lot of these types of things. And at the finish line, when we came running up to the finish line, we came around a corner through some bushes, and we see Greg and John on the stage, and we know that they won. And we also knew it was going to be really close. But I was immediately hit with a very strong feeling that this was the right outcome. And because of that, I wasn't sad. Like I was happy that that everything worked out the way it did. It was just a super strong, like any disappointment that could have come in being at second place at that moment was gone, because I knew that was the right outcome.
Yeah, it was kind of funny because we both felt that way. And of course, you get home and you really think back on it, and then you start thinking, oh, well, what if I'd have done this? And you get some of those feelings, back, but we honestly felt that way. And I saw this little YouTube video, a YouTube short that just talked about, you know, you could do everything in your power to catch a bus. And if you're trying to make that 7 a.m. bus and you're praying and you're doing everything in your power to reach that 7 a.m. bus and you get to the bus stop and that bus drives away right before you get there, it's not that you missed your bus. It's that your bus isn't there yet. Just keep on pushing forward, keep moving forward, keep doing the right thing. Your bus is still coming. And in a way, that's kind of how it feels with this whole service dog thing. And you know, it was such more of a blessing that everybody could come together to help my daughter than it would have been had we just won the $1 million and got her service dog.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we can't help but be grateful for the way it played out. We got to experience some epic things that people don't get to experience. And in the end, a bunch of people came together to bless my daughter. And so we're grateful for all of it.
Yep.
And I think that kind of represents how well you're perceived on TV too. Like as people followed you, two great guys competing, you know, in this amazing race. And like, I think a lot of America was rooting for you. And I think that kind of showed on social media, you know, like you said.
We got a lot of love, and we'll, of course, appreciate that love a lot. So many nice people. And here's another thing. You look at all the other teams that were in this race. I've seen almost every season of this show. There's maybe 1 or 2 seasons left that I haven't seen yet. I don't think there's ever been a cast that was full of as many good people as this season was. I don't know. I don't want to go on a tangent because I feel like I already talked about this a second ago, but we made so many friends out of everybody. It would make it a lot easier in some ways if there was something to dislike about Greg and John who won. If we could be like, oh, those jerks, they're such jerks or something like that.
They're so mean.
In a weird way that might make you feel a little bit better or something. But the problem is Greg and John are awesome. They're like
I think they were created in a lab, actually.
I feel the same. Yeah, we called them the machines quite often.
They have so many talents. Like
yeah,
language, they're brilliant, they're athletic. It's like,
and that's why you hope that they're not nice, but they are nice.
And it seemed like every time you would get ahead of them, then they'd be right behind you.
Yep, yep.
You're running and they're just walking and they're
Those guys are the full package. I mean, sometimes you'll have people who are very smart, intelligent, they like know a bunch of things, and then you got people who are really athletic, and then you got people who are both, and that's right. Greg and John.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And them in that French restaurant, I was like, I couldn't believe
it was so easy for them.
Yeah. So that challenge, here's a funny backstory on that challenge. So we got to choose between, it was a detour, so we could either do the restaurant or the recyclables, where we had to sort all of those recyclables. I actually speak French also. I speak French fluently, but I don't think that helped Greg and John in that challenge, because the only way it would help is if they both spoke French.
Yeah.
Because one person has to say the name of the dishes to the other person. And so if you say it to them in the French words and then the other person goes to try to find it written down, it wouldn't work. You'd have to say it phonetically for it to work well. It is cool that that Greg got to pull that talent out, but I don't think it helped him that much in there. Although just being smart and being able to remember things, that helped him a ton.
Right.
Meanwhile, we're over at this recyclables place, just smashing toilets and sand and stuff, just having a ball. We had so much fun. So even though I could have spoke French during that challenge, I'm actually really glad that we ended up with the sorting recyclables challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the most difficult challenge for each of you. Like Joel, what was your most difficult?
It was the dance. No,
Yeah.
I think for both of us, we both had to do a dance, and I would say for both of us that was the hardest part of the whole season. Would you agree with that, Smythe?
Yeah, we're not dancers by any means, and going into the race, there's always dance challenges. We knew it would come up. We just hoped that the other one would be the one that has to do the dance. Unfortunately, we both had to do a dance at one point, and so, I mean, I don't know. It's my dance. I think was easy. Well, I don't think my dance was way easier than his dance. And not only that, but my dance happened early in the season where they didn't show a lot of footage of me. And so Strasser's dance was at the end of the season where they had a lot of footage to show. And so you got to see him quite a few times trying that dance.
Oh, yeah.
The river dance was not only the hardest part of the whole show. I don't know if it's the hardest thing I've done in my life. Probably not, but it's up there. It's in the top 5 toughest things I've done in my whole life, probably. Because it's just so foreign to anything I'm good at. And when we found out we were doing a river dance challenge, here's how it kind of played out. And Smythe loves to make fun of me for this, but we opened the Clue. We're in front of the theater where the river dance is performed, and there's river dance posters behind us and everything. And we rip open the Clue, and it says roadblock. Who wants to get their steps in? Now, any observant person would see the theater, see the river dance posters, see who wants to get their steps in, and know that you're going to be doing a river dance themed challenge. But here's what I thought. I pictured, for some reason, there's a big pile of sandbags in the basement of this theater that need to get up to the roof. And there's a couple of stairwells. And so I'm going to go in and I'm going to be like hauling sandbags to the roof back and forth until I get a certain number up there. And I'm like, I'll do it. Like this, I can do this. This challenge is built for me. I have endurance, I can just keep going at this. And so once you choose who's going to do the challenge, then you can look at the next page. And it turns the page and it's like, join the famous river dance on stage and perform a routine. And I'm like, oh crap. And my heart falls onto the floor.
Like, yeah.
There, were you happy you didn't have to do it?
I was so happy. When we read Who Wants to Get Their Steps In, I thought dance. I didn't realize we're at the river dance. I didn't see the posters, whatever, but I did think it was going to be a dance. And so when he said he's going to do it, I was like, oh, thank goodness. And when he opened it up and it said river dance, I was like, yeah, I figured it was a dance. And boy, was that dance hard. It was such fast steps, and I wouldn't have done any better than him. And so I'm glad he took it.
Yeah, it was so tough. So tough.
I will say
how you got through it.
As far as the challenging things goes, I do have a slight fear of heights. And so skydiving was a little challenging for me, but in a way, I just had to get out of my own head and not think about what was happening. I'm strapped to a guy. He's going to throw me out of the plane anyways. And so as far as it being challenging, it wasn't because I just got thrown out of the plane, but it was in my head a little bit. I had to kind of control my thoughts. But dancing, yeah, skill-wise, that was way harder for us.
What was worse, the skydiving or the Space Needle for you?
I think it was skydiving. The Space Needle, even though we were at the top of it, when you walk to the edge, even if we weren't strapped in, had you fallen, you would have just fallen on the people that are on the platform, like just the visitors. That you couldn't have fallen further than that unless you were trying to jump, I guess. But and so I felt a little more safe on the Space Needle.
The skydiving, okay, skydiving is something that I probably never would have done because I've thought about skydiving before. And I've pictured myself being in a plane with an open door, looking out and being scared to jump. And so when we found out I was skydiving, I was kind of excited. I'm like, okay, cool. I don't have a choice now. Like this is going to happen one way or another. And luckily we pulled the first number. So of all the 5 teams, was it 5 or 6 teams? There's 5 teams left at that point. We were the first out of the plane. So I knew that there was nothing was gonna slow us down when it came to that. And so I asked Smythe, can I go out of the plane first? Because it was one of us, and he said I could. And I was just really excited. It never actually got as scary as I thought it would be. I kept waiting for it to get scary. I'm sitting near, I'm right by the door. And when they open the door, I'm like, okay, it's about to get scary now. And I look out and I'm not scared yet. And then I had to hang my feet out the door. And I'm like, oh, it's going to get so scary. And it didn't. And then we just kind of fell out. And it was exhilarating. And it was heart pumping, but it never really got scary, which was a surprise to me.
part of my problem, I think, is I don't think you realize how quickly a body falls out of a plane. And so when he went out, he was just gone. And I was like, oh my. And so I think I had a little bit more time to be like, oh no, this is about to happen. And as soon as I fell out, my initial instinct was to try to grab onto something. Once you start falling and realize there's nothing to grab and the ground is so far away that there really is no fear in the free fall, that's when it was just like kind of peaceful. And then, you know, by the time you're close to the ground, your chute's open anyways, and then you feel safe. And so there was some fear going out, but once you were out and falling, the fear kind of just goes away.
Yeah.
Now back to the river dance. You said that was the toughest. That was tougher than the seeking challenges, finding the lock, and the other one you had to find that tile.
The reason the river dance was harder than those were frustrating for sure. And you saw I struggled with both of those, finding the tile and finding the lock. They both took me longer than they took anybody. Because the two people that finished the tile challenge after me arrived at the tile challenge way later than I did.
Right.
That was there second. So I was in the hot sun looking for that tile at the end of a double leg for a long time. But while it was frustrating, all I had to do was tell myself to block out the frustration and keep looking. Same thing at the lock challenge. It was just like a different kind of frustration, or a different kind of hard. The river dance was harder because I'm still trying to block frustration and block negativity out of my mind, because if I didn't do that, I never would have passed it. And I'm trying to contort my body in all these weird ways and do these unnatural steps and stuff.
Yeah.
And then the last thing that makes the river dance the hardest was we're down to only 4 teams left. And at the end of this leg, one team's being eliminated and not going on to the finale. And the other 3 teams were gone now. They've passed the challenge. They're finishing the leg, and we're still on the stage. And I'm the reason we're not going to make it to the finale, is what I'm thinking. You know, so it just had everything awful, every awful thing you could imagine all at once was the river dance challenge.
And then that's another reason you guys were so amazing, because when you know, myself, and I'm sure other people thought as well, like, oh man, they're not going to pass this one. And you did. You overcame it. Like, I think that's what kind of, you know, helped grow the popularity of you guys throughout the show, and like the rooting for you guys, because kind of like the underdogs. I mean, I'm not saying you guys are underdogs, but when you go against like
we call ourselves
20-year-old athletes, I mean,
yeah,
I would consider myself an underdog.
Yeah, we were underdogs for sure. And it goes back to the preparation. We knew how to navigate pretty well. And that's the only reason we didn't get eliminated in Ireland. Annalie and Steve struggled with navigating that day.
Yeah.
Sucks for them. And I'm really glad it happened to them, because otherwise they had a 20-minute lead on us. They left the River Dance Theater 20 minutes before we did.
Yeah.
And we were able to smoothly get where we needed to go after that. So it worked out.
Yeah. And there was one that you won first place, right? Like did you win an Expedia travel package or?
Yep.
Yeah, that one, that was actually the one where we did the skydiving.
Okay.
Afterwards, we fell a little bit behind and we're back into 4th place. And it's kind of funny because at one point we did see Corey and Rob and Steve and Annalie when we were doing the recycling. They were leaving as we were getting there. And so we knew they were a little ways ahead of us, but we thought maybe we could catch up. By the time we got done, we didn't see anybody the rest of the time. Todd and Ashley, we felt like we're far enough behind us that we weren't concerned that they might catch us. But we were far enough behind 1st, 2nd, and 3rd that we were like, okay, we're going to be 4th, but hey, we're in the next leg. And so we made it through. And that's when all of a sudden, you know, again, our navigation, getting through the subway, we seem to do pretty well with everything. And we get to the mat thinking we're in 4th place. And it was a shock to us when Phil said, you're team number 1.
Yeah.
And we won an Expedia package to the Galapagos Islands. And man, were we shocked.
We did not expect that.
No.
In fact, sometimes This happened more than once in the race. Phil would say something to us that was so unexpected.
Yeah.
That we didn't quite understand at first. And when he told us we were first place, that was one of those times. The other time I can think of is when he told us we weren't in last place in Germany.
Germany.
That we were so shocked when he told us that. We're like, what? Because we'd already determined this is the end of it.
We had accepted our fate.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get to some of these questions. So Top Hat Beard Company wants to know, what was your favorite location during the show?
I think we went to a lot of good places and some places that I don't really need to go back to also. But I would say Slovenia was the full package. It was beautiful.
Yeah, it was beautiful there.
It was unexpected because a lot of people, and me included, didn't know much about Slovenia.
Mm-hmm.
So I could have been completely different and I wouldn't have been surprised, but I was surprised how beautiful it was. You had the Alps, you had just beauty everywhere. It was a really cool place.
I was also surprised how new of a country it was, being that I was way off on my guess. But I got to see the beauty of that lake twice because I got to go on the glider plane twice. And I feel bad for Strasser because he didn't get to go any times. But
if you don't know what I'm talking about, the challenge after the glider, you had to guess the year that Slovenia gained its independence. And Smythe knew the answer was 1991, but he figured we had a big enough lead at that point because we were in first place that he could do the glider.
I might as well go a second time.
Yeah. Was that your favorite location as well? Or
that was my favorite location by far. Yeah, the view from that glider plane over that lake. Oh my goodness, you can't see that in many places. And so, being that we knew nothing about Slovenia, my first thought was, I got to bring my wife back here. This is just gorgeous. Now, I mean, like he said, there was other places too. Sweden was also beautiful. Germany, all the castles there were amazing. But Slovenia, my goodness. And it's the bee capital of the world. I love honeybees. And so that's another thing that just draws me towards Slovenia.
Yeah.
True North Beard Company wants to know, what was the craziest thing that happened on the show?
Us making it to the final.
I'm going to say the craziest thing to me, that at least that's coming to mind right now, which we didn't know until we watched the season, was Morgan and Lena eating all those bugs.
Oh, yeah.
My goodness. I don't know how they did that. Strasser would have loved to do that challenge. I would not have loved to do that challenge. I would have forced myself. But to watch Morgan and Lena go through those bugs and Morgan telling Lena to eat it faster and her looking at that big tarantula, trying to convince herself to eat it. Oh, my goodness. That was crazy to me.
I got to qualify this. It's not that I would have enjoyed eating the bugs. I would not have enjoyed it. But it's epic. And it's like the epic Amazing Race challenge. They do stuff like this maybe once a season where you got to eat something really gross. And we were there too late to have a chance to do that. So I would have been barfing and gagging, but it would have been like just the coolest Amazing Race experience to eating those bugs. So that's why I was bummed that we missed out. Yeah, there was a tarantula and giant beetles.
Yeah.
It didn't even really benefit at all. Like, for them.
Right. Well, the way that it went down was not what anybody expected as far as them using the express pass. Unfortunately for them, but fortunately for us. You know?
Right. Yeah. Next question. I think you guys answered some of this, but you can also answer again. Joel and Garrett, what was your favorite, best challenge? What was your worst, most disliked challenge? And if you could change one thing about one of those challenges, what would it be?
Well, since we talked about the toughest or worst challenge, I'll say the favorite challenge. I think the bike challenge in Germany. It wasn't even really a challenge. It was just a fun thing where there was a horse bike and we rode through a carnival. It was so fun. It was actually a lot cooler than it looked on TV too. We didn't know what to expect. We had no idea what was in the doors. They just told us to ride our bike through these doors and then through a course and to throw flowers and to throw kisses while we're in there. And we go through these doors and all of a sudden there's this band playing and there's like 100 people partying and dancing and waving at us. And they all were acting like we were heroes. And we're blowing kisses and throwing flowers to them. It was so fun. Like I wanted to take a second ride through there again after we were done. It was just so much fun. And it was almost like all of the challenges are so tough and they like challenge you physically and mentally so much. And this one was just like a fun one.
Yeah.
It was almost like a reward. So that's why I love that one so much.
That was a fun challenge. I really did like the glider plane though, even though, you know, my fear of heights is there. Once you get up in that plane and the lead plane detaches from the glider plane, it's so peaceful. There's no engine. And so you're just flying through the air and it was just a beautiful scenery. And I really loved that glider plane. It was a lot of fun. And as far as, you know, anything that I would change about the challenge, I mean, we got to go back to the kayaks, you know, that's one simple mistake.
Yep.
Be more assertive, Garrett.
Yeah, I guess so.
Dak Cajun family wants to know, did you have a game plan going into it every day? Like when you started the day, like did you think of a game plan, like pep talk yourself or anything like that?
We tried to plan, but I think the problem was you never know what they're going to throw at you.
All right.
So the best thing we could do was like mentally prepare to just do whatever. Just be flexible and keep having the right attitude. I don't know if that was specific to an everyday thing, but we did talk about it all the time. We talked about keeping the right attitude. Like I told you before, we prayed a lot to be able to have the right attitude. And we tried to not let something like to never say I can't and to never say it's too hard or anything like that. That was like our game plan, I think, all along. What do you think, Smythe?
Yeah, definitely the positivity was a big thing for us that we always talked about. Remain positive no matter what happens. The other thing I think is consistency over motivation, because there's times where things happen and you might lose your motivation. But if you already have that consistency in mind that no matter what happens, we're going to keep pushing forward. We're going to keep running. We're going to keep, doing our best. Even if you feel like, everything's falling apart for you, you got to keep that consistency, even if the motivation isn't there.
Yes, definitely.
And Tara wants to know, I've lost it, but Tara from True North wanted to know what the eating situation was like there.
Between the legs of the race, we did not ever go out into the city and explore and eat the local food or whatever because we were locked down. So they would put you in basically back to, you'd have an interview after each leg of the race, and then they'd bring you back to the hotel and you were back to not being able to talk to the other teams. You couldn't leave the hotel room. You're kind of like, it was like jail sort of. There was even hall monitors watching you to make sure you didn't come out of your room. So the food we got was whatever the hotels had. But the hotels usually had really good local food.
Yeah, it was good food.
We had good, Vietnamese food. We had good Indian food. We had good Thai food. Wherever we were, we got good food at the hotel.
Okay.
Now, but during the leg of the race, if you're in the middle of a leg, if you're going to get food, you got to buy it with the leg money that they give you. And you really don't want to take the time to stop and buy food when you're in a race for $1 million.
Right.
The adrenaline's pumping so much anyways, you don't really feel the hunger. We had maybe granola bars or trail mix or whatever in our bags. So if we needed something, we could grab something like that and just eat it as we're running. But for the most part, during the leg of the race, you're drinking water, but that's about it.
At any point, did you have a bathroom emergency during a race, during a leg?
So go ahead, Smythe.
Yeah, I will say when I was doing the dance with the bowls on my head, that was probably the closest I came to having to pause in the middle of a dance and just go to the bathroom. But I was able to push through it and hold it in until I finished the challenge, and then I went to the bathroom and we ran off. Besides that, I don't know that we had any other emergencies. We were sweating so much.
We were coming out of the cave in Slovenia.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
most of the crew that were with you, you had a camera and a sound person with you at all times. And most of them were males, but we happened to have a female camera operator that day. And we're in the middle of the forest, running from the exit of that cave back towards the parking lot. And we both had to pee. And Smythe's like, hey, I got to go behind this tree and pee, okay? And she's like, yep. And she just turns around. And I tell it Smythe, I'm just like, go behind that tree. Go behind that tree.
Just hurry up and go, because I had to go bad. I was like, I can't hold it anymore. I got to just go.
So he goes and pees behind a tree, and he comes back out, and we run like 15 more feet, and there's like 5 porta potties right there. And I'm like, I'm going to go in one of those porta potties right now.
What was, when you were talking about the food, what was your favorite or best meal?
One that stands out for me is the pho in Vietnam, which some people really like pho, and you got pho restaurants around and stuff. It was legitimately delicious. It was so good. It hit the spot, and we were in a pretty nice hotel for Vietnam, and the food was just so good.
The food in India we really liked. We ordered a bunch of different things there, and also in Thailand there was some sort of, I don't know what we ate, but man, it was so good with the spicy sauce, and I mean, those were probably my top 3 as far as food goes.
So the Asian countries by far,
yeah,
they really dominated the food, I think. So with this question about how the people of each country welcome us, we mostly talked to nice people the whole time. I think people were bewildered when they saw us because we're running with backpacks and there's a camera and a sound operator following us. So we looked really weird, but usually people were very kind and helpful. In fact, sometimes they were too helpful. Like, they wanted to help us, but if they didn't know the place we were asking for directions to, they would just make something up and say it's over there, and then they were wrong. But,
you might have seen that with the mattresses when we were carrying the mattresses. Right away, they were like, "Oh yeah, it's that way," and we went the wrong way for way too far, carrying 2 mattresses on your heads.
I can only think of one person the whole race that we made angry, and it was, I don't know if you remember this, Smythe, but this was right before we got to the mat in Sweden. And I don't even think she was Swedish. I think she was a tourist. But we were trying to find the mat. We didn't know we were in first place, like we said. We thought we were in 4th place, and we see the mat, and we start bolting toward it. And I didn't bump into the woman, but I got pretty close to bumping into her. And she started yelling at me and like going off, and I'm just like, whatever, dude. And I just kept running. Do you remember that, Smythe?
I do remember that, yeah.
But other than that, like, I don't even think we had good interactions with people.
Yeah, people were very friendly.
That's good. I know
Taiwan.
when you were having the deliver bricks, I believe it was, and you had to stop for water. I wasn't sure if you guys were going to make it through that one.
Yeah, that was definitely rough. Strasser it was hitting him harder than it was me, but we were both just dying in that moment. Luckily, where Strasser almost passed out, there happened to be like a little bodega that we could buy water from, and so I went and bought the water, and that kind of revived us. But yeah, that was a close call on that one.
All right, Dynamite, I'll do my best. It's either Le Respect Barbu or it's Le Respect du Barbe. It's one of those. Yeah. I think that there's somebody I saw in the chat, I think, said they spoke French too or something. I don't know. But you could tell me if I'm right or wrong on that.
That would be emo.
Oh, that's right. Emo, yes.
Yep. And then that Cajun had another question. How did y'all pick what to choose on the roadblocks? And then he changed it to the detours. Like, did you guys ever have like a difficult picking?
Yeah, so the roadblocks one teammate does. With that, we just went back and forth between each other. And if something came up that we felt might fit one of us, we would have done that. But we ended up just rotating because you have to have an equal amount of roadblocks if you make it all the way to the end.
Oh.
We just took turns on the roadblocks. Now, the detour is the team challenges, where you can pick one or the other. For that, I mean, we just would read through it because you get more information with the detours where you can kind of, what you're going to be doing. So we just read through them and kind of picked the one that we felt like we would have the most success with. Although there was one time that in Slovenia, the hay challenge versus the bee house challenge, Strasser actually has experience doing hay because he did that growing up. But we went with the beehive challenge, and that was mostly because I love honeybees, and so I convinced Strasser to let us do the bee house.
And it was better off anyway. We didn't get all itchy.
We enjoyed it.
Yeah.
That was a lot of hay.
And that's where you left your notebook.
It is.
Absolutely is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Could you imagine if we left the notebook under a bunch of hay? That would have been much worse.
That would have been even worse. And I got the notebook here. I thought I would turn to it really quick, but there's still a piece of authentic blue paint right next to my diagram of the bee houses. So there you go.
Now, speaking of the notebook, and I think a lot of people thought this at the time, but you kind of explained on your guys' show why you didn't have the notebook for the final task. Like a lot of us were like, well, why didn't they grab the notebook? But not realizing you weren't allowed, right? Like
Yep.
you weren't allowed.
It said right in the clue, no form of notes may be used.
Yeah.
Which is always the case with that final challenge, and that going into it, and that's why you study it and try to memorize it as best you can before you get to that final challenge.
Yep. And if just for further torture, if I turn to the very first page of my notebook, at the very top, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but this is the name of the very first challenge. Yeah. It says he wants to be on top of it all.
Yeah.
Or which it was actually wants to be above it all. But it's written right there on page 1 of the first leg. And I mixed that up.
Did you see other teams taking notes like you guys were? Yeah.
I think every team does it. If you've seen the show at all, if you've done your homework, you need to be taking notes.
Okay. Yeah.
Any other questions left out there?
I think we went through them all.
So I'll make one comment about the fanny pack that we also left behind. People that don't know about the fanny pack is where you keep your passports. And if you lose your fanny pack, you lose your passports. And if you lose your passports, you go home automatically. So you have to have your fanny pack with you at all times. And it's funny because the night before we lost it, Strasser decided to come up with this new rule where if you ever take the fanny pack off, you buckle it to your backpack. So that way when we grab our backpacks and leave, we always have the fanny pack. And so the next day, it was my turn to do the roadblock. So I took off the fanny pack, gave it to him. He put it on. And then he had to go to the bathroom and he takes off the fanny pack. And does he buckle it to his backpack? No. He just sets it on a bench and walks away. And then we leave the fanny pack.
I don't know why you felt like you had to tell that story right now.
And it was so funny because we're sitting in the taxi. So the camera guy, when you first get in your car and start driving, he'll film you for a little bit, ask you some questions for us to, communicate what's going on to the audience. And then if it's a long drive, he'll put the camera down because there's really nothing else to cover. He put the camera down and we're driving. And all of a sudden I look over at Strasser and I'm like, where's the fanny pack? And Strasser's like, and the camera guy scrambles, grabs the camera, flips it around on him. He's like, say that again. Tell me what just happened. And that's when I was like, we're like, where's the fanny pack? And we went into the whole thing about we got to turn around and go back. And it was a mess. But yeah, the camera guy was like, oh, this is important. I got to get this on camera because this is, one of the biggest things in the Amazing Race is the fanny pack.
And the Cardinals pin. It's been lost before, and it's been forgotten and had to go back for before. And so it doesn't happen every season, but every couple of seasons, some moron loses the fanny pack. and sometimes it's detrimental. Like it's you're out. So luckily that was like the second leg, and it did cost us a few positions. I think we went from like 4th to 7th or something because of that. But it's in a point in the race where it's more forgiving.
Yeah.
So what do you guys see in the future? Another race? Another show?
From
We would
your
love-
mouth to Phil's ears.
Yeah, we would love to be invited back for an all-star season. We would love another chance. It was such an epic opportunity, and if we could have it again, we would love that. I'll keep the fanny pack on me, I promise.
Yeah, I mean, every once in a while they do an all-star season. I don't know if they're going to. I hope they will, and if they do, here's our plan. We have, I don't know if it's a plan that we can actually control, but here's what we hope happens, because you have in Corey and Rob, that's the father and son, where Rob is deaf and Corey is his younger, his 20-something son. They're one of the most loved teams that's been on the race in several seasons for good reason. These guys, they're exactly what you see and more. They're just like
awesome.
the best people. And I think that CBS would be making a big mistake to not bring Corey and Rob back for another season, for an all-star season. So our hope is that CBS chooses to do that, and then they need more teams, obviously, and we're just like, can ride the coattails back in.
Yep, we'll ride those coattails right in.
Yep. And I've told Corey that much. I'm like, Corey, I think that they're going to bring you guys back, and then when they do, I want to ride your coattails.
For now, though, we've had some people reach out to us that want us to come and speak to some youth and stuff like that about positivity and perseverance through tough times. And so we have a couple of those lined up where we're going to be able to speak to people about that, and we're kind of excited about that. We love sharing. Anytime we can share positivity, we love sharing it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I kind of want to see, and I think all of America thought this at the time as I did, watching that river dance and Corey's connection with that instructor.
Yeah. So I can give you an update on that if you'd like.
Yeah.
Corey and her did communicate over Instagram after the race was over, but it didn't really take off or anything.
Oh.
And then right then is when Corey met his girlfriend, who's his current girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
And so he said it was awkward because by the time that aired on TV, he already had a girlfriend and they were serious.
Okay.
But now all of America is just like sending him messages like, tell us about the dance instructor. And he's like, dude, I love my girlfriend right now.
And his girlfriend's like, what? Come on, guys, give me a break. Let me just have him.
Oh, speaking.
I see the note from Copper Johns. We were just talking about Copper John.
Yeah.
Love the mustache wax.
Yep. You'll have to look back to the start of this episode when Smythe talked about the mustache wax, because it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I've actually got the Sundance Copper Johns in the beard today. Yes, I do.
There you go.
It's the Sundance.
Shelley, Idaho. That's where I have got some family in that area.
I went to college in Rexburg, Idaho, which is like 5 minutes from there. All right. Well, cool. Any last questions, comments, anything? We're glad that you guys let us come in here and
we've been having a good time.
It's an honor to have you guys here. I really appreciate you guys coming on, and because, like I said, all the chat, we followed you guys throughout the whole season. It was amazing race.
And then it was over, and we're like, now what do we do with our Wednesdays?
Yeah.
That's
what do we do now?
Yeah. We had those watch parties were so fun, and doing those every week.
Yeah.
The crowd got bigger and bigger every week. Pretty soon we got like 300 people or something showing up every week, and it was like when you're in a big crowd and they're all watching the same football game and they're all cheering for the same team, and then the field goal goes through and the team that they're all cheering for wins the game on that field goal. That's what it was like watching.
Yeah.
Like when we got first place in Sweden, it was nuts. Everyone just goes crazy, and it's so weird. It's like they're cheering for us. It was a cool thing.
That happened like 4 months ago, right? Or 5 months ago.
Yeah, I had a list of questions, but they've been covered.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
took a break for a while.
yeah, but you had talked about the downtime and getting to eat, because you didn't know if you were going to start racing again in 12 hours or 24 hours. So I mean, you guys had time to have proper hygiene as well, take showers and whatnot. So
Somewhat, yeah.
We washed all of
Yeah.
our own. We did our own laundry in the sink of the hotel. We would use the shampoo in the hotel room to wash our clothes, and then wring them out and hang them up, and hope that they would be dry by the time the next leg started. Or else we have to use the blow dryer in the hotel to dry them out.
We had a question asking what the connection was between the Amazing Race guys here and the Bearded Respect. We've just had Joe on the show before talking about his, I believe it's 12 Guinness World Record.
It's up to
14.
15 now.
Yeah.
I knew I was going
Here's my wall of. Here's my bragging wall over here of my world records.
And I also want to say that I now have a Guinness World Record myself, and so through Strasser's training and a little bit of bloodshed, because my record was putting the most chopsticks in someone else's beard by a team of two. So me and another guy put him in Strasser's beard, and we might have stabbed him a little too hard a few times, but we got the record. So
Yep.
Wow.
That's cool.
Yep, that just became official just like a week and a half ago. I think that the Guinness people certified it. So you got 2 Guinness World Record holders on the show today.
You got 3.
Oh, that's right. Let's see it. Yes,
yeah.
you tied your beards together.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Not going. Well, now is yours from the one in Casper or the
So
one
that's
in
the Casper
Florida?
one,
Casper.
and I'll get the new one for Florida.
That's so cool. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't go to Casper. It's not that far. I should have gone to that.
So now
Well,
these
thanks for
two
letting
get
us be here, guys.
Guinness
Oh.
records.
it's great having you back on, Joel, and it's great having you on, Garrett.
Thank you.
It was a fantastic season this year, and it was just me and my wife both had a blast watching you guys, and
Thank you.
even my daughter, even my oldest daughter would say, and her boyfriend, are your buddies still on? I said, yeah, yeah.
Yep, that's how it is. That's how it is. I don't know if you knew this, Smythe, but once you join the facial hair club, you're all brothers.
Oh yeah.
Hey, I'm happy to be in.
Very cool.
That last episode, though, it was well. I think I commented on your YouTube video on your recap that I was. Well, my wife made me mad because I didn't know this. She works from home right here beside where I'm at. Well, while she was working, she turned it on because we don't have live TV anymore. So we have to watch it Thursday. And she watched it while she was working. And then, so she knew. So then I come home from work and I turn it on right away and I'm watching it. And of course I'm yelling at the TV and I'm cheering and yelling. And she's just looking at me grinning. I said, "What's so funny?" She goes, "You are." And then probably, I don't know, about halfway into the show, she says, "I already watched it earlier. I couldn't wait." I says, "Oh, thanks." So I'm sitting here yelling and cheering, and she already knows the outcome. But
That's funny.
Any thought of you guys continuing with like podcasting or doing your videos together?
We're still
Beyond the Amazing Race?
We're still gonna do YouTube videos. Like we just were working on one earlier today.
Okay.
Yeah. So thank you for the segue. please join the YouTube channel Joel Nert, JoelNert. I've made YouTube videos solo forever, and if you go way back, like way back, like 6-7 years ago, there is one on there that Smythe has a cameo in. But then we've been making them together more often lately, and we're going to keep doing that. We've got so many stupid ideas that we'll keep it coming.
It's been a lot of fun.
I just dropped the link in the chat, so everyone
Oh,
here.
awesome.
Will follow.
Thank you. Feel free to join us.
You've got great videos, you know, like touring Area 51 and all your Pepsi stuff. But
Yeah, we infiltrated Area 51, and we have video of it. That was a fun one to make, and a scary one to make too.
Feel like there should be more questions, but I can't think of it.
I mean, there was one other one that Nicholas Z asked, but I mean, it was kind of answered earlier. He was just asking what you guys did to prepare, and you kind of already went over that earlier.
Yeah, we put 2 videos on YouTube that just kind of outlined what we did to prepare. So watch them. Yeah, please do watch them. And if anybody wants to hit us up, you can send us each a message on Instagram if you have another question or whatever. If you think of something later. Yeah, here's the thing. When the show aired, we were getting like several messages a day from people, and we couldn't keep up with it. But now it's been like a month, and now we're like bored. So send us a question. We'll answer it.
well, Garrett, do you have a service dog picked out yet, or is that still like in the process?
Yeah, so we're still in the process. We have picked out a trainer to do the service dog training. That's what Kathy was helping us with. She did a lot of research, found the top 3 in Idaho. The one we went with is actually one of the top in the nation. It's called Positive Pets, and Devin from Positive Pets is just an amazing guy. So he's helping us right now. He's looking around with different breeders, trying to find the perfect puppy that can bond with my daughter in order to start training for a service dog. So yeah, we're in the process. We don't have the dog yet, but we're getting close.
And if you don't mind answering this, what particular service?
So a little bit about my daughter. She had a traumatic birth where they had to give her CPR for 4 minutes before they revived her. She ended up having some brain damage. She has cerebral palsy. She's deaf. She also has Down syndrome. And so a lot of her needs, some of it is to help her stay balanced so she doesn't fall over. When she does fall over, it could help her get up. She also, because of the deafness, she has cochlear implants, but she doesn't speak real well. She does some signs, but so kind of a hearing dog is part of it. Mm-hmm. She also tends to be a little bit of an escape artist. Sometimes she tries to get away without us knowing it. And so it would be a dog that can kind of help track her. And if she tries to escape, either warn us or let us know, or corral her back into the house or into the yard or wherever we happen to be. So a lot of it in a way is a help to us, as far as making sure she doesn't try to sneak out and get away from us. And then a lot of it'll be to help her, whether it's to get her shoes for her, or, just help her in the needs that she has. And then again, a big part of it will be for the deafness. If her cochlear implants malfunction or the batteries die, obviously she can't hear anything. And so the dog can be kind of an alert dog for her also.
Amazing that
There
dogs are trained to do that stuff.
It is crazy.
And how old is your daughter, by the way?
She'll be 8 years old in, what's the day? The 25th. In 3 days, she'll turn 8 years old.
Nice.
Oh, nice. Well, early happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you.
Every time, so like Smythe said, Brindley doesn't talk much, but she does say Strasser, at least a form of Strasser.
She attempts.
And when she says Strasser, it just melts my heart so much. I love it.
Nice.
That's real
Oh,
cool.
here-
There was one question
here's
here
a-
about how were the taxi rides?
The taxis
Yeah.
were a mixed bag. Sometimes we would. They're often when we're in a taxi, we don't speak the same language as the driver, and we weren't confident we were actually going where we thought we were supposed to be going. If there was, like, I remember the first taxi we had on the whole race was in Bangkok, and the taxi driver was the best one we had the entire race.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, this is easy, because that guy spoke great English. He got us exactly where we wanted to go. We had conversation with him. And then we never had a taxi driver that good again the whole time. But yeah, it was weird. And a lot comes down to if you get a good or bad taxi driver. We had another one. He didn't speak any English at all, but he had the foresight to call someone. He had a friend who spoke English. And so we're trying to tell him where we want to go. He doesn't understand a thing we're saying. And he pulls out his phone, calls, he goes, blah, 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 and then he hands us the phone. And there's a lady on there speaking good English saying, hey, I'm his friend. I speak English. Tell me what you need.
Oh, that's cool.
And we told her what we needed. And then we gave the phone back to him. And then he's like, talking to her in Thai or whatever it was. And he got us right where we needed to go.
Yeah.
So
He
like
deserves
some-
an extra tip.
yeah, I wish more people would have done that, actually.
And here's another one. Was there a team?
We didn't really
Was
get
it?
drama in that way.
It's kind of funny though that when we were in India, the leg where I had to do the dancing with the bulls on my head, we had jumped up from second to last place after the dance. By the finish line, we were in third place, and then we have 3 other teams show up right after us. The Philly Johns, Todd and Ashley, Corey and Rob all show up, and Phil asks us all because at this point we know that the U-turn is coming up. He says, "Is there any team that you guys are looking at to U-turn? Any team that you're not getting along with?" Well, Strasser and I were like, no, we're getting along great with everybody. And then all 3 other teams said, oh yeah, there's definitely a team that we're looking at. And we were like, really? We had no clue that there was any drama going on. But apparently we weren't having the drama. Somebody else was.
And we had to. Okay, so if you remember how that U-turn vote went, it was split between Steve and Anna Lee and Chelsea and Robin.
Yep.
And I was actively campaigning to vote for Steve and Anna Lee. I was talking to people, and you never saw this in the show, but I was telling people, like, because we had discovered that Steve and Anna Lee were the real deal, and we way underestimated them.
Mm-hmm.
We thought he was the old cowboy and the little girl, and that they weren't going to get anything done, and they were a great team. So I knew that they were a threat, big time. And I started talking to people, and people were like, yeah, we're going to vote for Chelsea and Robin. And I'm like, why? Like, Chelsea and Robin, who do you want to go up against at the end? Do you want to go up against Steve and Anna Lee or Chelsea and Robin? And at this point, John and Greg had not emerged yet. They were like laying low. And it was right after the U-turn vote that they started dominating.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried to talk people into voting for Steve and Anna Lee, and I'd talk them out of voting for Chelsea and Robin. And luckily, that's the way it went. I don't know what impact it had in the end, because Steve and Anna Lee ended up bouncing right back from it. But and that also solidified our friendship with Steve and Anna Lee, by the way. When Anna Lee like grilled Smythe and was like, "Did you guys vote for us?" He's like, "Yeah."
Yep.
And we became good friends with them after that.
Yeah, because the other team was like, no.
Yeah. I don't know why they weren't prepared for Anna Lee to ask that.
Yeah.
Knowing her, we knew she was going to ask us.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So we were ready for it. We're like, yeah, she's going to ask us, and we're just going to tell her, yep. Okay, so for I only used beard oil on the show. I didn't bring any balm or wax or anything else or any butter, because I was just really trying to save space and weight. I brought some basic beard oil. I think I had a bottle of just regular old Honest Amish beard oil with me. And that's it. And my beard was everywhere. Like I never even thought about like making it not look like crap because it looked like crap the whole time. So I wasn't even trying to stay on top of that.
I just used my Copper John's mustache wax every morning. I would use that. And, you know, again, my goal was just to get it to go out as far as I could get it. And that's all I needed. So, yeah, that's what I used.
Yep. I see that next question, and the answer is no. Nobody. It was all on us. No hair and makeup. The camera team, you just got used to them.
Yeah.
You pretty much zoned them out, but a lot of people don't realize that every time you see us in a car, there's a camera person and a sound person in the car with us every time. So if we're in a taxi, there's 5 people in there. You got the driver in the front, you got the cameraman and the riding shotgun, then you got us sitting next to each other in the back seat, and then you have the sound operator just out of the scene, out of the side of the camera. And so we had one taxi ride from Canta in Vietnam back to Ho Chi Minh City. It was like a 5-hour taxi ride. It was the most miserable.
Yeah. It
was hot. There was no air conditioning.
Small car.
It was a very, very small car. And we were crammed into the back seat together. And it was the worst experience in a vehicle in my whole life, I think.
The other thing that you might not think about is when you book a flight, we make it look like we're booking a flight for 2, but you actually have to book a flight for 4 because your camera and sound guy are part of your team in the way where they have to be with you at all times. And so if a flight only has 2 seats available or 3 seats available, you can't book that flight because you have to have enough room for all 4 of you.
Wow.
So sometimes, like on the plane, it would look like you have 3 seats, but was one of them for the camera guy and sound guy, and they're just up when they're filming you?
It was either that, or sometimes we didn't end up getting to sit by each other in the plane. But during the boarding, they would ask us to sit by each other to take a quick shot.
Oh, okay.
And then we would go to our assigned seat afterward.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes we were together, sometimes we weren't. Sometimes we would be sitting next to somebody on another team. So it just depended.
Did you ever, or any other team, did you ever like run into the camera or sound guy? I mean, did they ever get in your way?
So first of all, there was one time that the camera guy was running, and because he was filming as we were running, he ran directly into a rickshaw, and the camera smashed him right in the face, kind of cut him open a little bit.
Wow.
And there was that accident. But as far as us running into them, I think the worst situation for us was in that final leg, driving from the final challenge to the mat, because it was nighttime, dark outside.
Oh, yeah.
And the camera guy was asking us questions and had the spotlight right in Strasser's face while he's trying to drive in the dark. And so at that point, it was like, okay, we got to put that camera down because we can't even see where we're driving.
And there was one time, I think this was in Ireland. So anytime in the show that you hear us describing what's going on, it's because the cameraman just asked us a question. And they know that they need the content of us speaking. And if they don't ask us questions, we won't say anything because we're just focused, right? So we were driving to the theater, I think it was, where the river dance happened. We're trying to navigate. Smythe's trying to give me directions. And the camera guy keeps asking questions. And he's distracting Smythe. And I don't know where I'm supposed to turn. And Smythe's trying to answer these questions. And I was like, okay, we need to focus on navigating now. Because I was like getting stressed that I don't know where I'm going, and the camera.
And the problem with this situation is we didn't know where we were going beforehand. A lot of times you'll try to research where you're going beforehand. In this instance, because we had just gotten the clue, I'm trying to navigate while we're driving because we don't want to sit there and figure out the navigation and then drive. We're trying to do it at the same time. So me answering questions when I need to be looking at the map to figure out where we're going. It was a little chaotic in that moment.
Now, how about like when somebody's doing a roadblock and the other guy's waiting? Like, let's go to the bridge with the locks. So there's a camera guy with you, Joel, but then they show clips of Strasser stand or other teams, you know, the other teams. Is there like a separate camera guy just for the people that are waiting? So
Yeah, they
can
had.
film
I think
them?
they called them zone operators, where they're just in charge of the zone. So at most challenges, there's 1 or 2 zone cameras that are just stationed there, and so they're
Okay.
taking extra shots. Which, by the way, little behind the scenes for you: if you see a zone camera guy and you're trying to find a place and you see a camera guy, it's a good clue that you're on the right track.
Mm-hmm.
And so, because sometimes they try to hide the production people that are at the different locations, and they do a pretty good job of it. But sometimes, like, you see somebody that looks out of place, and you can tell they're a part of the production. And so, we had this little code that we developed where if one of us said to the other one, "I know we're in the right place," if you use that exact line, that means I see someone from production, and so. I know I'm in the right place because I see the production people.
Now that being said, it's not a foolproof method, because I have seen a season before where a team, I'm assuming, used that method. They saw a camera crew and they ran up and realized they were at the mat with Phil. And so they went to the wrong place, but they saw the camera crew, so they thought, oh, this must be it.
Right.
When they saw Phil said, you got to go back and finish that challenge before you can come see me at the mat. And so that wasted a lot of time because they went the wrong way. So,
and it did happen to us in India. We went to the rickshaw maze too early.
Oh yeah.
And then because we saw the boom, there was a boom camera, and we went there and we figured we had to go back to the spyglass place and get the clue first before we could go to the rickshaw maze. So that it happens sometimes, but it was a good little hint. The most surprising thing about being on a reality show is that it actually is real. Like, of course, there's behind the scenes stuff, and there's like a little bit of Hollywood because they have to, but like 99% of what you see, it's not made up. It's not fake. The only thing that I would ever say is even remotely fake, and I don't even think it is fake, is sometimes they would do an extra shot. For example, we're on the mat and Phil has checked us in, and he's already told us what place we are, but then they need a wide shot, and so they got a real reaction from us with the tight shot, but then they would like do it again and tell us what place we're in again from a wider angle without the people all crowding around with their equipment and stuff. So that's like a little kind of Hollywood type thing, but it doesn't change anything. It's just like they got to do multiple shots of the same thing sometimes. But everything you see, they don't stage it, they don't interfere. Everything plays out the way that it looks like it plays out. They're all about like they're talking to the producers is so cool when they're like, we don't know what's going to happen. We set things up, we set up the clues, set up the challenges, then we just hands off and just again crazy stuff happens, you know. And so I think I expected it to be a little bit fake, and it wasn't.
I think there might be reality shows out there that create drama, you know, that they need more drama, and so they'll create it somehow. The Amazing Race, everything that happens is legit. Like, they're not creating any drama. Obviously, you can see that we can create our own drama by leaving our fanny pack somewhere. But I mean, the show isn't putting their fingers in anything. They're just letting things happen.
Right.
And it's fun to, like you said, it's fun to talk to the production after it's done, like the episode or the leg is done filming, and just hearing their perspective on, you know, when we're racing to the mat in Sweden and it's looking like we're going to get first place, they all have tracking devices, you know, on our camera crew or somewhere where they can look at a map and see where everybody's at. And so they're watching it, you know, like they're watching the race on their phone, like, oh, are Strasser and Garrett going to show up first? And so it's kind of exciting in a way that they can follow it all like that, but they're not going to stick their fingers in anything. They just want it to play out the way it plays out.
Yeah, and with drama, like you could tell, like that was like real emotion, like when the sisters would fight each other, like they'd argue back and forth.
Oh yeah,
you know, the husband and wife kind of arguing back and forth. That's all real emotion in the moment race, like as opposed to like something like Survivor where they kind of build up these dialogues and drama and, you know, plan to, you know, group each other and stuff like that. It's different, totally different.
Yeah.
So the production crew didn't egg her on to say, "Come on, Dad." That was all her.
That was Annalie.
Although they might have just taken sound bites of her saying "Come on, Dad" and just put it everywhere throughout the show. I don't know.
Yeah.
The reason that I wondered about that is because there is an episode. It was while I was looking for the tile, and while I'm looking for the tile, you can hear Smythe's voice say, "Oh my gosh!" And it wasn't me that said it; it was him. And he's over off to the side, like in the waiting area, and then you see me from behind, so you can't see my lips or anything. And they took a sample of him saying that, and they put it on me when I'm looking at the tile. So that was actually kind of funny when I saw that.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, thanks for having us, guys. It's been an awesome evening with you all, and we'll have to do it again.
Really appreciate you guys coming on.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah.
You guys are
Love
celebrities.
to have you back anytime.
Yep. Just make the call.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, I think we're going to call it a night then. Just want to thank these guys for coming on the show. Really appreciated it. It was exciting watching you through the season of The Amazing Race.
Absolutely.
Really enjoyed it. It's kind of neat watching someone you actually kind of know.
Mhm.
And you guys were great through it. It was amazing. Every time it seemed like you guys were getting frustrated with one another a little bit at times, that you were just able to work through it and just made it a great show.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, thanks very much. That's how we roll.
So everybody, just make sure to tune in to their YouTube channel. Look for you can catch some of those shows from when they were giving tidbits from The Amazing Race, or you can watch some of the new stuff. Pretty exciting channel. And we hope to see you back here Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll have more exciting shows coming up.
Yep. See everyone next week.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Respect the journey.